We've got Ben in the house.
Who's
Ben?
Who's this stranger?
What are you saying, guys?
What are you saying?
What is all this fighting, man? Everyone needs to calm down a little bit. Everyone needs to calm down.
It's what Spurs does to us, Ben. It's what Spurs does to us.
We're not out the tie. We're not out the tie. We're still in it. We're still in it, and not bad performance tonight. We should have won the game. We were the better team tonight for sure.
I think we were the better team, but with the chances we had, we should be winning that game. That's my opinion.
Of course,
and we've lost the chance. We wasted the chance tonight.
I agree with you, and of course that's what kind of brings the biggest frustration about tonight, is because we were the better team. We had the chances to win the game, and we didn't take those chances. Ultimately, what it came down to today was our front three weren't firing. That's what it came down to. And the front and the midfield, I thought, played well today. I thought Bentancur and Bergvall had a really good game. The fullbacks were on point with Porro and Destiny. Destiny had probably the best performance we've seen from him since before his first injury. You know, I thought it was good performances, you know, around the pitch tonight. It was just the front three that massively let us down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, and that's obviously hugely frustrating. We definitely, I think, created enough chances to win that game and to at least take at least a lead, probably by 2 goals, but at least a lead to the second leg, and that was ultimately what could cost us in that second leg, because I guess a lot of people are thinking, are we going to see a much different Frankfurt in that second leg to what we saw tonight? What do you think about that?
Let's be real though. It wasn't like an unbelievable performance. It was just it was a decent performance. It was a good performance compared to what we've been showing recently. The frustrating thing is that Frankfurt were really there for the taking. That's the biggest frustration, because Frankfurt didn't really turn up today. We conceded after 6 minutes or something. They had a few chances throughout the game, but if we really wanted to, we could have put that game to bed in the first leg. And now it's all beyond. It's a massive question. It's basically relies on 90 minutes of football, the outlook for the rest of our season. And look, if Frankfurt play like that in the second leg, there's no reason why we can't go there and win. But we know it's going to be a different tie, intense atmosphere. The fans are going to be well up for it. The Frankfurt fans tonight at the Spurs Stadium, they're in there about an hour and a half before kickoff. Wow. And they were there until an hour and a half after kickoff. And they were bouncing pretty much from beginning to end. So with a whole stadium full of that, are Spurs going to be able to stand up to scrutiny to that kind of intense atmosphere?
No, but look, obviously I'll remain to be seen. But in terms of what we saw tonight, was there anything that encouraged you in general? Was it a step in the right direction, or was it, is the frustration the ultimate takeaway?
I think my biggest takeaway is just how frustrating it is, because when you're on top, you need to put the game to bed and you need to put the chances away. That's the biggest frustration. I'm happy with, in terms of, it was a better performance than what we've seen in recent weeks and recent months for sure. Don't doubt it. But when you're on top in a tie like this, when you know you've got to go away to a very hard ground and an intense atmosphere next week, you've got to put the game to bed. And now I do question if we can do it in the second leg. However, looking at the quality of the two teams, it does look like that we have a lot more quality about us. But our front three got a fire. That's what it comes down to. You have to be clinical, and we just weren't clinical enough today.
And it's typical Spurs, isn't it? Their second choice goalkeeper comes in after Trapp is injured and has an absolute worldie. Yeah. It's just classic Tottenham. Talk to me about the referee. I mean, I was going nuts about the referee during the watch along. He was really doing my head in. What was the sense in the ground? Was there a sense as well about this referee having a bad game?
There wasn't, to be honest. There wasn't like kind of any animosity. Like week in, week out, we're seeing like animosities towards referees and poor refereeing decisions consistently happening. I mean, I didn't really notice much from the stands today. Maybe I had a few too many beers before the game or something. I don't know, but I didn't really notice anything about the referee. What happened with the ref today?
Nothing major. He was just constantly giving bad decisions against us, like really frustratingly.
Maybe I'm just used to that now.
There was two in the first half when Maddison gets fouled and he gives 2 fouls against Maddison. There was 2 in the second half where Song gets bear hugged, didn't give a foul. Johnson gets wiped out on the edge of the box, didn't give a foul. And then These are like major decisions, but a lot of them just, they tot up and it's really frustrating to watch. There was one where Tiata basically volleys it out of play for a corner and he didn't give a corner. He gave a goal kick. I was just like mind-boggling. I thought the referee had a bit of a stinker, but obviously, I don't know, maybe it's more easy to see it watching on TV when you get to see these decisions on replays and stuff and on maybe in the ground, you only get one look.
No, I do know what you mean, but I feel like this happens week in, week out with Tottenham, and I felt like that was happening a lot in the Chelsea game. All these 50-50 decisions going against us consistently week in, week out. So maybe it's just something I'm used to now, to be honest, because it's just what we see consistently.
Who was standouts for you today? Who are you really impressed with?
I'm very happy with the doggies' performance, and I was going mad before the game that Spence wasn't playing. I really was going mad, and if I had to pick the team again, I probably would pick Spence. However, I think a doggy had a very good game, and for me, the shining light was Lucas Bergvall yet again. I thought he was the one that always trying to up in the tempo, always trying to drive us forward, and that cracker that smashed against the bar. I mean, if that would have gone in, bloody hell, what a goal that would have been. But yeah, I think my man in the match was probably Lucas Bergvall today. I thought Kuti was very good as well today.
Anyone who didn't have a great game, you thought specifically?
Yep. Dom Solanke, once again. Solanke, man. I mean, I don't know what he does anymore. Like, he's
when
really
was the last time he scored,
me.
Ben?
January.
3 months
January
ago.
the 15th.
Had a role to play in the goal,
ago.
though, didn't he?
4 months.
He did, but like you're talking about a 90-minute game of football. You're talking about one moment of a game. Like, he doesn't impact the game enough. Brennan Johnson as well was an absolute ghost today. That chance was usually his bread and butter. He's got to be finishing that chance. And unfortunately, I got to say it, Sonny as well, I didn't think played well today. I think the front three, it was the front three that did it for me.
Yeah, that was quite frustrating because I think a lot of the chances that, you look at that we missed, Bentancur hit the bar, Bergvall hit the bar, Maddison had a shot save, Van der Ven had a header right at the depth that has to go in. So you're looking at the front three, how many chances they really had. You had Brennan blaze one over. Sonny had a good chance, which the keeper made a brilliant save from. But I think the ones that went really close, I guess, were not even the front three. So that was really, really frustrating. But
it was that moment in the game, wasn't it, Sim? That moment when those chances were happening, the Bergvall hitting the bar, the Bentancur header, the Sonny chance, all in the space of 10, 15 minutes. That was the moment in the game where the game was there for the taking. We just didn't do it. Did
you see in terms of our attacking play though? I think you're starting to see a bit more cohesion there in terms of the amount of chances we're able to create.
Second half, yeah. I mean, first half, we barely created a chance. I mean, a lot of possession, but we were finding it really hard to break them down. Second half,
it was a good team goal, though, wasn't it? It was a good team goal, the goal we scored.
Lovely, lovely finish, wasn't it, from Pedro Porro? But the defending for the first goal, on the other hand, was completely shocking. But look, I think second half, you did see a few more patterns of play. You saw us breaking them down a bit more. You saw us actually taking a dig from 25 yards. I've been calling for this for so long, pretty much all season.
For ages, Ben.
Just take a dig, people. Take a dig. And, we nearly scored from a couple of them today. So, look, reality is it was better today, but we need to be even better than that if we're going to go through on this tie in the second leg.
Do you believe we're going to go through, Ben?
Do I believe? I don't know, man. It's going to come down to literally I think this could go all the way. Extra time, penalties, what have you. I think it's going to be a very nervy night in Frankfurt next week. And I don't know if we're going to do it. I don't know if we're going to do it. I'm just hoping and praying that we're going to do it. And I'm just going to err on the side of positivity and say, fuck yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to go through. We're going to go to the semi-finals.
In terms of how we managed the game, we didn't...
Maybe delusion.
We didn't... Well, Danny definitely agrees that that's deluded. What's good? In terms of how Ange managed the game, we didn't make subs until 10 minutes to go or 15 minutes to go. So he did leave them quite late. He said he didn't make them because he felt at the time we were well in control and there wasn't really a massive need to change it at that time, which, you could argue is fair, but definitely there was a point where we started to tire a bit. Maybe could have been a bit earlier. What do you think of that?
100%. I was standing there shouting, Ange, make changes. The front three aren't performing. I thought Solanke should have gone off for Richarlison. I thought Tell should have come on earlier. I thought, we should have made the changes. And I thought I think Tell, when he came on, actually added a bit of energy to the attack. So I don't understand why we wait so long to make changes in game every single week. It could be the difference for us. It really could be the difference, but we leave it too late, and these players don't have enough time to make a real impact.
Do you think there are some decisions to make for Ange in the second leg, or do you go with the team that went today?
Big decisions to make. I think Spence. I think Spence has to play. I'm not sure who for. Whether it be probably, judging on that performance tonight, I'll probably put him in instead of Pedro Porro. Keep a doggy.
I thought Porro was great tonight. You don't think so?
Porro was great tonight, but I think Spence has that more defensive solidity about him, and I think we're going to need that more in Frankfurt. So if we have two kind of bulldozers on the right back and left back, and a doggy and Spence, I think for that specific game it will stand us in better stead. In terms of the attack, do we go with Brennan or do we go with Odebear? I think that's a major call that Ange has to make. Maybe even Tell. I don't know, but Brennan did absolutely nothing today. So I think there's question marks on the front three. I think the midfield three is the midfield three that goes into the game next week. Kulusevski apparently ain't going to be ready to start, but will be ready to make an impact from the game. So there are a few decisions to make, but yeah, it's going to be tough, man.
Ange said the football gods were against us tonight. He's given up on the football gods. Have you given up? Have you given up on the football gods?
Sim, what have I told you? What have I told Josh King consistently? F the football gods. They're always against us. They've always been against us, and they will always be against us.
Until Levy leaves this club.
Even when Levy leaves this club, they'll still be against us.
I don't.
They
think
were
so,
against
man.
us. They were against us before Levy was at the club, and they're going to be against us after Levy was at the club. This is just who Tottenham are. When Ange says this is who we are, mate, that's what he's talking about. The footballing gods always being against us.
We have a curse bestowed on this club that the football gods can't penetrate.
No, we've just had owners in the last 30, 40 years that haven't been wanting to be successful at this club.
Tell me about
that's literally it.
Tell me about the atmosphere tonight. It sounded loud at points, but did you feel being in the ground?
I heard Frankfurt fans.
Being in the ground. How do you think the atmosphere was?
So at the start of the game, it was absolutely electric. There were people with their phone lights before the game, a lot of flags, and it really did feel like a massive occasion and a massive night. The Frankfurt fans also playing a part in that, and then it kind of did go flat when Frankfurt scored. But I think in the second half, the fans did respond to the way the team were playing, and the more chances we were getting, the louder the fans were getting. So it actually felt like being at a football game for once, being at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. So it was good. The atmosphere was good. I was happy with it. Just you boys, I'm looking at you, Sim. You need to make your voices heard in Frankfurt next week.
Oh, you bet.
That's gonna be a hard job, by the way. It's gonna be a hard job.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna try our best. And just one last thing, Eki Teki. I know I thought he played well tonight, didn't he? He looks like a real player. Great. I know the defending wasn't great, but you got to say, great goal. 25 yards out. What a finish that was. And I thought there was a few moments he was running the channels, and I think a couple of moments he was competing with Romero and putting some headers. I thought he had a really good game tonight, and he looks like a proper prospect.